Chapter 1026, Dangerous Actions. How is this possible? My little world. The bat-winged male's heart rate sped up, and his entire body started to tremble. At this instant, cracks hadn't appeared only on the surface of his little world, the foundational structure of his little world had been damaged as well. When the structure and foundation of a little world was damaged, the little world would start to act chaotically. Sky-destroying sacred lightning palm, world-destroying palm. A giant lightning palm made of red and golden light pushed forward and destroyed everything in its path. Boom. Zhao Feng's palm landed on the bat-winged male's little world. Boom. 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 The powerful physical force and the lightning were released through the sky-destroying sacred lightning palm and eroded the structure of the little world. Although this palm wasn't as strong as when he fought against Sacred Lord Dark Shadow, it was enough to deal with this quasi-sacred lord non-human prodigy. Bang tilde crack. The bat-winged male felt the majority of his little world's foundation break, and the purple little world around him instantly crumbled. At the same time, the remaining power from the palm landed on the bat-winged male. Wah! My little world. The bat-winged male spat out a mouthful of blood as he exclaimed. One had to know that a little world was formed by taking a king's domain and strengthening it bit by bit until it turned into a little world. A lot of time and effort were necessary. The bat-winged male looked at Zhao Feng in fear. Not only was the latter fast, his defense and power were also incredulous. How can there be such a strong prodigy amongst the humans? The bat-winged male was stunned. He never thought that he and the leopardman prodigy would see something like this. Shadow bat escape. The bat-winged male gave a decisive expression as he started to burn his true yuan. A dark layer of light covered his body, and his purple wings became bigger as they enveloped his body. At the same time, a weird spatial ripple started to spread. Whoosh! The bat-winged male's figure disappeared from Zhao Feng's little world with a flash of purple. At this moment, Zhao Feng wasn't able to find any tracks of the bat-winged male within his little world. A stealth-type bloodline secret technique? Zhao Feng's expression remained the same as a faint golden glow appeared in his left eye. Wang! With one scan, the bat-winged male's figure appeared before Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng's left eye was the nemesis of such secret techniques, especially after it evolved to the gold level. Nothing could be hidden from him. Zhao Feng instantly locked onto the bat-winged male. How is this possible? The bat-winged male, who had merged into space and had no aura, suddenly felt a source of mental energy lock onto him. Wind lightning eye flame. A ball of purple and gold lightning fire appeared at a certain spot and exploded. Arg! The bat-winged male's figure appeared. A destructive lightning fire burned across his body and soul. At the same time, limitless power of lightning within Zhao Feng's little world bombarded the male with bat wings. You want to run away? Zhao Feng thought. Whoosh! Wang tilde. With a flash, Zhao Feng appeared on the other side of his little world. The leopardman was about to escape Zhao Feng's little world but was suddenly blocked. The leopardman looked at Zhao Feng. Apart from limitless fear, there was hatred. He knew that, no matter how he begged, it would be useless. Wu tilde. The leopardman started to burn the bloodline within his body, and he suddenly became bigger. His skin turned into golden needles as he turned into a leopard-slash-human-shaped monster, and a fierce and powerful force radiated from him. Boom! The leopardman unleashed supreme speed and tried to charge out from another side. Zhao Feng snickered coldly and made a grabbing motion with his hand. A magnificent power of heaven and earth and the pressure of the little world descended onto the leopardman. Wang wang boom! A giant scarlet-colored claw covered in lightning then descended from the sky and grabbed the leopardman. Zhao Feng laughed and condensed the power of his left eye. The next instant, a powerful eye intent restricted the leopardman's soul in the air. What? His soul intent? The leopardman had lost control over his body and was unable to even think. Soul search. A wicked soul undulation passed through Zhao Feng's left eye as it entered the leopardman's soul. With Zhao Feng's soul strength, his mastery over the soul, and his eye bloodline, performing a soul search was extremely simple. Furthermore, this leopardman's soul intent was slightly weaker than the bat-winged man's. This was why Zhao Feng used the soul search on him instead. Zhao Feng finished the soul search a breath or two later. Pa! Wang tilde. Zhao Feng's soul intent destroyed the leopardman's soul, and his head was taken into the misty spatial world. On the other side, the bat-winged male, who had been severely injured by Zhao Feng's wind lightning eye flame, was being tortured by the little world. He would rather die than live at this point. After seeing what happened to the leopardman, the bat-winged male chose to self-destruct. Zhao Feng didn't try to stop him. After all, the self-destruction of a quasi-sacred lord prodigy was enough to threaten even sacred lords. Boom. Zhao Feng retracted his little world when the bat-winged male disappeared. In just a short while, two non-human prodigies that had overestimated themselves were killed by Zhao Feng. I have enough intel now. Zhao Feng murmured. He had received all the intel within the leopardman's mind. Meng City only had one sacred lord, who was roughly on the same level as the dead sacred lord Dark Shadow. However, the fifth serpent son of the Serpentman race had brought four powerful quasi-sacred lords and many unrivaled emperors. The overall strength of the fifth serpent son's forces was far greater than sacred lord Dark Shadow. This meant that Meng City's overall battle power was even greater than two sacred lord Dark Shadows. Damn it, I shouldn't have put my little world away. Zhao Feng's eyebrows furrowed. He had been scared that the bat-winged male's self-destruction would affect his little world, so he put it away. However, the bat-winged male's self-destruction attracted the attention of the patrols near Meng City. If that's the case, then I'll just take care of you all as well. Zhao Feng didn't leave, he chose to progress forward. 3 teams of non-humans soon arrived. There were about 100 in each team, ranging from small origin core realm cultivators to half-step kings. The leader was a normal emperor. There was a strong surge of true yuan from the front just now. Could it be that the two geniuses that followed the fifth serpent son are sparring with one another? The element from the disturbance just now was different from before. The leading elder discussed as he flew over. A thunderous boom suddenly sped toward them, and the 3 teams were instantly on guard. However, before they could notice anything, a male with golden hair and a golden eye appeared before them. How is this possible? A human? The 3 teams felt a magnificent power-locking space nearby. The pressure coming from him made them unable to breathe. Illusion Maze Domain. A purple and gold maze world appeared within Zhao Feng's left eye, and it was extremely alluring. Wang. All the non-humans near Zhao Feng instinctively looked at Zhao Feng's eyes and instantly became dazed. Their eyes dimmed as their souls fell into the world of illusions that Zhao Feng created. Whoosh. Zhao Feng waved his left hand, and countless wind blades cut off all the non-human heads. Maybe I can kill some more. Zhao Feng started to think. He had completed his mission already, and he killed 2 non-human prodigies and 3 patrolling teams. According to what Zhao Feng knew, war points could be obtained from methods other than just killing non-humans. For example, Zhao Feng learning information would also give rewards, but because Zhao Feng didn't usually come out, that little amount wasn't enough to satisfy him. Whoosh. Zhao Feng continued to approach Meng City. If one used their spiritual sense to detect others, experts with the same cultivation or those that specialized in sensing would be able to sense something. However, when Zhao Feng used his left eye, he could control the situation around Meng City. As long as he didn't purposely stare at some expert, no one would be able to find him. At this moment in time, Zhao Feng was hiding in a forest 60,000 miles away from Meng City. Who tilde? Zhao Feng suddenly released a faint aura. Eh? Come with me and have a look over there. 2 non-human patrol leaders felt something, but they weren't certain, so they led their teams over to confirm the situation. Bait, success. Zhao Feng revealed a faint smile as he waited for them to arrive. Who? When these 2 teams got close to the forest, a powerful intent locked space. Zhao Feng's left eye turned into a purple and gold maze world, and everyone's soul fell silently into another dimension as they lost control over their body and senses. Boom. One of the leading emperors suddenly released a surge of intent before he was trapped in Zhao Feng's illusion. It seems my plan failed. Zhao Feng had a calm expression. The illusion maze domain was obviously a lot weaker when it was used against several hundred people. One of the emperors whose soul intent was slightly stronger managed to send a signal out before falling into Zhao Feng's illusion. But this is good too. I don't need to lure them out one by one. Zhao Feng cut off the heads of the 2 non-human leaders and waved his hand. True yuan of wind lightning surged and turned the bodies of all the other non-humans into ashes. There's something going on, come with me. A peak emperor near Meng City looked into the distance and roared. Whoosh. Whoosh. All the patrolling teams around Meng City started to gather together. Boom. 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 Several thousand patrols headed toward Zhao Feng's direction under the command of the non-human Peak Emperor. At the same time, within Meng City, 5 one-star captains and 3 two-star captains led a total of 5,000 elites and charged out. Within a dim hall in Meng City. "What's going on?" a non-human male with green scales and horns and who wore noble clothes asked. At the very center of the great hall stood a big non-human elder. This was Sacred Lord Enya, who guarded Meng City. He released his spiritual sense but didn't sense anything. "Go have a look," Sacred Lord Enya ordered. "Understood." He, I hope that we will be able to fight." 2 females with powerful auras revealed bloodthirsty smiles. One of them was from the Eagleman race, and a pair of black wings extended from her back as she shot into the sky. The other was a sexy woman from the Snakeman race, and she turned into a streak of azure light that chased after the black light. These 2 were peerless prodigies that were accompanying the 5th Serpent Son. Chapter 1027, The entire city taking action. There's a trace of a Solor here. The first to arrive at Zhao Feng's hiding spot were the patrols outside Meng City. A large number of soldiers gathered around the forest. The leaders of these groups were normal emperors at most, so it was impossible for them to find Zhao Feng when they scanned around with their divine senses. "Who?" Zhao Feng leapt out from the forest, and scarlet lightning flashed around his body. He became bigger. He was like a metallic mountain of lightning as he released a surge of lightning in every direction. Wang tilde boom. Boom. Most of the several thousand soldiers were only at the origin core realm. It was impossible for them to block Zhao Feng's lightning. A wave of non-human soldiers instantly fell to the ground, and the other non-humans felt like they were stuck in mud. It was hard for them to even breathe. However, Zhao Feng didn't purposely attack these shrimps. His target was the leaders of these patrol teams. Not good, an unrivaled emperor. No, wait, a quasi-sacred lord. The expression of the leading non-human Peak Emperor turned to shock. Normal emperors wouldn't be able to suppress almost 1,000 Origin Core Realm and Void God Realm kings. All the non-humans started to use their own techniques to resist against Zhao Feng's intent and pressure. Quickly retreat. Everyone, that's not an emperor. Get away. A quasi-sacred lord is approaching Meng City. Everyone fought back against Zhao Feng's pressure and started to retreat. The non-human Origin Core Realms that had been killed and the kings that fainted were left behind. At this moment in time, no one was sure if they could even save their own life, so they had no time to care about others. Meow meow. At this moment, the little thieving cat jumped out from the misty spatial world and collected all the interspatial storage items from the non-human corpses. Kill. Zhao Feng's expression was cold. There were still 5,000 elites and 8 captains. 2 quasi-sacred lord geniuses were also on their way, so he needed to use his time wisely. Hu tilde Wang. After using the lightning wings flying technique, Zhao Feng was unable to be seen when passing through heaven and earth. None of the non-humans present were able to even catch sight of Zhao Feng. Bam! The body of the normal emperor shattered into pieces. Their head and interspatial storage items were taken away by Zhao Feng. On the other side, a blade of wind lightning chopped the head of the Peak Tier King off. The weaker non-humans that approached Zhao Feng were crushed to death by Zhao Feng's physical pressure without him even needing to attack. The little thieving cat roamed around and collected the spoils of war that Zhao Feng missed out on. Boom. Boom. A roar sounded when Zhao Feng killed the 6th captain. Human bastard, you really are courageous. You actually dared to come here alone? A 2-star captain was the first to arrive. The Origin Core Realms and kings and the team behind him had left a long time ago. The weakest of those that stayed behind were at least Peak Tier kings. Humph. Zhao Feng snickered coldly. He didn't put a mere 2-star captain in his eyes. Who? Zhao Feng's figure disappeared once more. The next instant, he appeared among the patrol group in front of a Peak Emperor. This non-human emperor's face became filled with fear, and he instantly used his little world in any defensive method he could. Bam! Zhao Feng's palm immediately shattered his little world and destroyed it. The body of this non-human emperor also split into many pieces. No. The battle power of a sacred lord. The 2-star captain that was about to charge forward immediately stopped moving. Even quasi-sacred lords wouldn't be able to kill a Peak Emperor and destroy their little world so easily. At this moment, the other 7 captains arrived, as well as several thousand non-humans that were at least a peak-tier king. "Stop him!" a 2-star captain immediately roared. Boom. 8 captains and several thousand non-humans started to attack. Only those that were at least at the level of a peak-tier king might be able to survive against this human. The non-humans that had retreated would send a report to the upper echelon of Meng City, and they believed that Sacred Lord Enya would come soon. Form the array. The 8 captains changed positions and thrust out several unique palms. A blue defensive array then formed. All the non-humans hid behind the array and unleashed attacks toward Zhao Feng. "Come." Zhao Feng's expression remained the same. "Who?" A pair of scarlet lightning wings behind Zhao Feng's back spread, and a strong surge of fire of wind lightning appeared. Boom. Wang tilde. Zhao Feng turned into a streak of scarlet lightning and shot toward the non-human army. If he hadn't cultivated a body-strengthening technique like the Golden Kun Sacred Lightning Body, Zhao Feng would never have taken a risk like this. However, now that Zhao Feng's Sacred Lightning Body had reached the 6th level, all physical attacks from anyone below the Mystic Light Realm were useless against him. Boom. 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 A tsunami of water, fire, lightning, wind, and different types of battle skills smashed toward Zhao Feng. However, before these attacks managed to land on Zhao Feng, a surge of physical force pushed it all aside. Only a small number of attacks actually landed on Zhao Feng, but no mark or injury was left behind. Not good. This person has cultivated a very profound body strengthening technique. Our attacks can't damage him at all. A 2-star captain exclaimed. Break. Zhao Feng charged toward the blue defensive array and punched out with his fire of wind lightning. Bam. Crack. The defensive arrays of the 8 peak emperors immediately shattered, and a wave of power swept toward the non-human army. The experts behind the array all vomited out blood. Shock appeared on the faces of the non-humans. "Human, your opponent is me." A black streak of light appeared in the sky. It was the prodigy from the Eagleman race. The image of a large black eagle claw appeared, and it radiated a piercing aura like it was a peerless sword. Humph. Zhao Feng didn't retreat. He charged forward with his Sacred Lightning Body. Bam. The black light was instantly pushed back while Zhao Feng didn't move at all, as if he was Mount High. This human's battle power is so strong. The female from the Eagleman race revealed a surprised and fearful look. Her legs were still sore. Eagleman specialized in releasing supreme battle power and killing enemies in one shot. However, she wasn't able to injure the human at all even with her explosive force. She had never been at such a disadvantage against someone with the same cultivation. "Let's attack together." At this moment, a charming voice sounded as the female from the Snakeman race appeared in the sky. The female Snakeman looked at Zhao Feng with a solemn expression. In the exchange a moment ago, she could tell how terrifying Zhao Feng was. He, are the non-humans trying to bully me with numbers? Shu tilde. Light flashed behind Zhao Feng's back, and he pushed his speed to another level. Zhao Feng didn't bother with the 2 non-human quasi-sacred lords. He charged directly toward the captains that were trying to run away. Bam. A 1-star captain was killed by Zhao Feng. "Human bastard, your opponent is us." The 2 quasi-sacred lord geniuses roared in anger. They didn't expect Zhao Feng to not care about them and go slaughter the captains instead. Being prodigies of the Dark Moon Lord dynasty, they couldn't accept Zhao Feng's actions. Whoosh. They immediately took action and chased Zhao Feng. "Damn it, what is this human trying to do?" The female Eagleman had an angry expression, but there was nothing she could do. Although she and her partner both specialized in speed, they couldn't catch up to Zhao Feng at all. They could only watch him kill the remaining non-humans. There's such a prodigy amongst the humans? The female Snakeman felt helpless. She had been extremely confident before coming to the battlefield and wanted to put on a show, but the first opponent she met already made her extremely frustrated. Boom. A surge of intent appeared within Meng City, and a figure in black charged over. Almost 30 captains and several dozen thousand troops moved out. At this moment in time, the clouds moved while heaven and earth shook. A terrifying and fierce aura swept across heaven and earth from afar. "Sacred Lord Enya and all the captains are coming." The female Snakeman was stunned. A human had just nonchalantly come to a non-human city and killed a few people, and that made several dozen thousand experts, emperors, quasi-sacred lords, and even the city guarding Sacred Lord come out? Had this human gone crazy? Hee, we'll end here for today. Zhao Feng snapped the neck of a non-human emperor, taking away their head and interspatial storage item. He had played enough for today. Zhao Feng came alone and killed 2 quasi-sacred lord prodigies, as well as several captains and countless soldiers that he was too lazy to even count. Now that Meng City's entire force was taking action, Zhao Feng obviously couldn't stay. Meow meow. The little thieving cat instantly entered the misty spatial world. Who? Zhao Feng waved his left arm, and his figure disappeared with a flash of silver. The next instant, Sacred Lord Enya and the Serpent Sun arrived. That was an item that can pass through space. Sacred Lord Enya had a deep gaze. No wonder that person was so courageous that he dared to come alone. He has a treasure like that. The 5th Serpent Sun said. Reporting to the general, 6 captains, 13 emperors, and 34 peak-tier kings have been killed. Wang Shua. A layer of silver appeared in the air, and Zhao Feng's figure appeared outside Moondragon City. Captain Zhao Feng is back. A patrolling guard said respectfully. Zhao Feng didn't bother with him and immediately flew toward the 9th Prince's hall. Zhao Feng, you're back? The 9th Prince immediately asked. He wasn't worried that Zhao Feng wouldn't be able to return, he was just curious as to why Zhao Feng came back so fast. Did the non-humans find him already? However, it wasn't Zhao Feng's fault. After all, Zhao Feng wasn't a professional scout. I've discovered the overall strength of Meng City. There's only one person with the battle power of a sacred lord in Meng City, but he's relatively strong. As for the quasi-sacred lords, Zhao Feng talked about the overall strength of Meng City. The 9th Prince had a stunned expression. He didn't expect Zhao Feng's report to be so detailed. It was as if he only went to play around in Meng City. If that's the case, we need to gather all the captains and decide what to do, Old Ying immediately said. Meng City's overall strength was far stronger than Moondragon City. Furthermore, Zhao Feng had already revealed his strength and could no longer catch the non-humans off guard. No, gather all our troops and attack, Zhao Feng said with a deep gaze. Why? The 9th Prince and Old Ying both looked at Zhao Feng. Their chance of winning wasn't high. It was useless if they attacked in a rush. Shoo! Zhao Feng waved his hand, and several dozen non-human heads floated in the air. These heads all come from emperors. Amongst them are 2 quasi-sacred lords, Zhao Feng said. Because he had acted alone and there were no witnesses, Zhao Feng had to take their heads. Adding on the fact that he had his memory replays, they could be considered proof of his deeds. The 9th Prince instantly became speechless. Who had ever heard of a scout killing such a huge number of strong enemies? They were usually careful and didn't even dare to go too close. They usually just waited for the right moment to slowly gather information, but Zhao Feng had obtained perfect information and even killed a large number of enemies, including 2 quasi-sacred lords, within 2 days. The 9th Prince couldn't even imagine what Zhao Feng had done. Your Highness, let's attack. Old Ying's eyes flashed as he immediately spoke. Chapter 1028, Eye of Myriad Forms. Your Highness, let's attack. Old Ying's eyes flashed as he immediately spoke. Zhao Feng had slain many high-echelon members in Meng City before leaving. This would dramatically reduce the morale of those from Meng City. On top of that, Meng City was heavily injured right now. If they didn't attack now, the non-humans would be able to gather their forces. It would be hard to find an opportunity like this again in the future. Old Ying immediately told the 9th Prince what he was thinking. Good. The 9th Prince soon understood. This was indeed the best chance to attack. Everyone, attack Meng City. The 9th Prince roared, and the guards patrolling outside the hall immediately passed the order across the city. In just a short while, all the forces were gathered outside Moondragon City. Let's go. The 9th Prince pointed his ancient green sword of lightning. Boom. Several dozen thousand troops instantly marched forward. Apart from a few true Spirit Realm and Origin Core Realm experts left behind to guard Moondragon City, everyone else pushed forward. The 9th Prince obtained the trust of the soldiers after the last battle. Adding on Zhao Feng's display of strength, and these soldiers were confident with no worries. 9th Prince, are we being too rash? A 3-star captain asked. Although they had Zhao Feng and Tai Hongling, who both had strong battle power and weren't scared of normal sacred lords, they didn't know the situation within Meng City. If they attacked right now, it would be going against logic. Zhao Feng already came back with all the intel within Meng City, the ninth prince said without explaining too much. The three-star captain faltered for a moment before looking at Zhao Feng not far away. He had heard rumors of Zhao Feng becoming a scout, but from the ninth prince's tone, Zhao Feng had given a very detailed report indeed. He originally thought that Zhao Feng was only strong in a fight. He didn't expect Zhao Feng to excel in gathering intel as well. He started to relax after hearing what the ninth prince said. If we managed to take over another city. The three-star captain was looking forward to it. If one took over a city, all the troops under the general would obtain war points in correlation with their cultivation. For example, sacred lords would obtain 20,000 war points while quasi-sacred lords would obtain 6,000. Likewise, if they lost a city, war points would be deducted. Therefore, if a normal soldier was lucky and fought alongside a smart general, even if they didn't kill any enemies and did nothing, just the war points from taking over the city would be enough to obtain a large amount of resources. Tai Hongling asked a question next to Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng, what's the situation like in Meng City? Their overall strength is about the same as Moondragon City, Zhao Feng replied with a simple example. How is that possible? Tai Hongling didn't believe it. They had already taken over Moondragon City, so how could the non-humans not react and reinforce Meng City? However, when everyone arrived, they realized that the city had become empty. There was no one here at all. Where are the non-humans? What's going on? There are no non-humans here. Could there be a trap? The captains and soldiers exclaimed. This situation had never happened since the start of the war. None of the captains and soldiers knew why. Tai Hongling's mouth dropped open as she glanced at Zhao Feng. What's going on? She believed that, when Zhao Feng came to gather intel, the situation wasn't like this, otherwise Zhao Feng wouldn't have said that the forces of Meng City were around Moondragon City's level. However, why did all the non-humans retreat after Zhao Feng came to gather intel? Zhao Feng paused for a moment as well. He didn't expect something like this to happen. He originally thought that Meng City would choose to defend and wait for reinforcements. Looks like we acted too quickly, so all the non-humans left, Old Ying said. However, that wasn't exactly a good thing. If they fought with the forces of Meng City, then the non-humans would have at least 60% casualties. However, now that all the non-humans within Meng City had retreated, they would have no losses. From the looks of it, the general of the non-humans was someone intelligent. Some captains realized this as well. If they took over Meng City, then they would need to face even stronger forces later. At that point, they might not be able to hold on to Meng City even if they took it now. Take it over. The ninth prince announced. He had nowhere to retreat. Besides, the war points from taking over a city were right in front of them. All they had to do was capture an empty city. In terms of war points, Zhao Feng received the largest portion. After taking over Meng City, the ninth prince's forces soon spread throughout the city and took control of everything. All the soldiers were full of excitement and joy. This time, the ninth prince brought all his forces and took over a city for free. It was the same as doing nothing at all and still obtaining war points. Within the hall where the ninth prince was staying. Zhao Feng, your war points this time will be huge, the ninth prince said. Firstly, he had given a very detailed report, so he would be given a high-tier reward for that. Secondly, Zhao Feng had killed 2 quasi-sacred lord prodigies, several dozen emperors, and many peak-tier kings. He would be able to receive a plentiful amount of war points from that too. Furthermore, because of Zhao Feng's actions, the non-humans within Meng City had retreated. That meant that Zhao Feng had basically conquered Meng City by himself. I can only report this to the main hall of Lan Province and let them decide the amount of war points you get. The ninth prince didn't dare to rashly estimate Zhao Feng's performance. But the non-humans that have retreated from Meng City might return at any time, so I will report this a while later, the ninth prince continued. Old Ying, tell the array masters to set up a defensive array quickly. The ninth prince ordered. Only they and a few captains knew that the non-humans might attack in a short while. Brother Zhou, we might need to use your beast horde in a bit, the ninth prince said in a solemn tone. That was also one of the reasons why the ninth prince dared to take over Meng City and fight against the non-human forces, who were stronger. Zhao Feng's beast horde was very strong, and he had many emperor-level beasts and stronger. The cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly could even affect quasi-sacred lords and sacred lords. However, what the ninth prince didn't know was that Zhao Feng's cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly had fallen into deep sleep. 300,000 miles away from Meng City, in a mountain valley. Sacred Lord Enya, we're going to give Meng City to those shameless humans just like that? The female eagleman with black wings asked angrily. If we were giving it to them, why would we be waiting here? The fifth serpent's son had a cold expression. This was his first time joining the war and he immediately had to meet a situation like this. The fifth serpent's son was extremely angry, and he vowed to take back Meng City. Reinforcements will be arriving shortly. Meng City will be ours again. We need to kill that human who has a spatial treasure first. Sacred Lord Enya looked into the distance with a calm expression. He had requested for reinforcements right after Zhao Feng used his spatial item to escape. However, the humans had taken action too quickly, so Sacred Lord Enya decided to retreat for now so they could slaughter the humans with full power. Who will be coming to reinforce us? The female genius from the Snakeman race couldn't help but be curious. Although Meng City had lost 2 quasi-sacred lords and many emperors, they hadn't lost many foot soldiers. Adding on the fact that the journey would be long, only someone with strong battle power would arrive. There might be a very big battle coming up. Zhao Feng murmured in the misty spatial world. Since Sacred Lord Enya retreated, that meant he wouldn't attack unless he received strong reinforcements. At the very least, there would be a couple quasi-sacred lords or a sacred lord. I'll try to form my little world of illusions before the battle starts, Zhao Feng said as he entered the ancient dream realm. He sat down and released his little world of illusions. Wang tilde Shua. Everything within several hundred yards became covered in a dark purple mist. Within it was a limitless maze. The maze contained structures of different types, such as palaces, hotels, heaven legacy cities, mermaid palaces, and more. Zhao Feng had seen most of these structures in the past. The formation of the little world of illusions was different from the little world of wind lightning. Zhao Feng used the storms in the ancient dream realm to help form his little world of wind lightning, but he had nothing like that for his little world of illusions, so he could only absorb the pure ancient aura. Zhao Feng circulated his 10,000 divine thoughts technique and split his mind into several thousand thoughts, which filled the little world of illusions and perfected it. Several dozen days passed, and a scout walked into the ninth prince's hall. Report. The non-humans have come to attack. The expressions of the ninth prince, Old Ying, and some captains changed dramatically. I didn't expect them to come so quickly. Old Ying had a grim expression. Everyone, come out. The ninth prince announced, then spoke to the scout, go tell Captain Zhao Feng. 100,000 miles away from Meng City, the non-human army was like an enraged beast horde. An air of hatred swept over. There were 3 figures at the head of the army. One of them was the fifth serpent's son, and another was Sacred Lord Enya. In the middle was a large non-human who released a terrifying aura. Wind and rain howled. Ice, snow, and lightning appeared wherever he went. Sacred Lord Myriad Forms, I didn't expect you to come in person. Sacred Lord Enya had a respectful expression. Humph, all of you are useless. Sacred Lord Myriad Forms had a cold expression as he spoke. Sacred Lord Enya and the fifth serpent's son's expression became ugly, but they didn't say anything back. It was just an accident. We didn't expect that human to be able to escape through space. Furthermore, that human prodigy seems to have a unique eye bloodline, Sacred Lord Enya said with a smile. All eye bloodlines come from the 8 great god eyes, but what does his eye bloodline have compared to mine? Light started to spin in Sacred Lord Myriad Form's eyes. A layer of rainbow-colored mystic light sacred power surrounded him. The pressure and power of the laws radiating from him made Sacred Lord Enya's heart shake. Is this the power of the Eye of Myriad Forms? Chapter 1029, Myriad Forms. The instant this rainbow-colored mystic light sacred power appeared, all the Yuan-Chi in heaven and earth was attracted. None remained. Although Sacred Lord Myriad Forms is only at the initial stages of the mystic light realm, even early-stage Sacred Lords can't deal with him. The female from the Eagleman race messaged in private. I can feel his aura. It doesn't seem like an initial stage Sacred Lord. The female from the Snakeman race had a deep gaze. This time, we'll let the humans know how strong the Yao races are. That human prodigy must die. The female from the Eagleman race had a sharp gaze. The human prodigy she was talking about was obviously Zhao Feng. "We're here." Sacred Lord Enya revealed a wicked smile as he looked forward. The non-humans instantly stopped their footsteps. At this moment, the forces of the Ninth Prince had already gathered. Sacred Lord Myriad Forms raised his head and looked into the distance with rainbow-colored eyes. Who? At this instant, the clouds and the wind howled in the air above Meng City, and lightning started to brew. The power of nature suppressed all the humans within Meng City. Who is he? A 3-star captain above Meng City looked at Sacred Lord Myriad Forms with a deep glance. He can affect nature with just one glance. Could he be the non-human owner of the Eye of Myriad Forms? The heart of another captain jumped. The non-humans led by the Eye of Myriad Forms owner were the strongest non-human force in Lan Province. Lan Province and the Imperials had sent out 2 powerful sacred lords, many array masters, and many beast tamers in order to defend against him. They never expected the owner of the Eye of Myriad Forms to appear here. Eye of Myriad Forms. Old Ying's expression became extremely ugly. I didn't think Sacred Lord Myriad Forms would be the one to reinforce them. The Ninth Prince paused for a moment and felt slightly regretful. Even the Sacred Lords that had lived for several dozen millennia weren't a match for Sacred Lord Myriad Forms. They had heard that even early-stage Sacred Lords were defeated by Sacred Lord Myriad Forms. A mountain of pressure covered everyone. Even Tai Hongling had a grim expression and didn't say anything. At this moment, Zhao Feng was sitting in the center of a limitless purple palace in the ancient dream realm. Dark clouds and purple mist surrounded him, and lightning and wind brewed in the sky. If the little world of illusions successfully forms, its power might be on par with the little world of wind lightning, Zhao Feng said in a soft tone. Although the little world of wind lightning was formed with the power of the storms within the ancient dream realm, there was a difference in foundation. The foundation of the little world of wind lightning was Zhao Feng's crystal core, while the foundation of the little world of illusions was a god crystal and an unknown high-class black stone. The difference between the two was very obvious. I'm just a little bit away from forming it. Zhao Feng felt slightly regretful because he could sense what was happening in the outside world. The non-humans were probably attacking already. Shoo! Zhao Feng's figure appeared within the misty spatial world. 2 sky-shaking golden apes have reached the quasi-sacred lord rank. Zhao Feng sensed something, and his expression turned to joy. Although he didn't quite know what was going on outside, he had a bad feeling. He felt that these quasi-sacred lord sky-shaking golden apes would be useful. Who? Zhao Feng left the misty spatial world and appeared in the outside world. Captain Zhao Feng. The expression of the scout outside Zhao Feng's room turned to fright and he was about to say something. Shu tilde zzz. A surge of wind lightning through Yuan appeared as Zhao Feng flew toward the city wall. Zhao Feng, you've come. The Ninth Prince's expression finally softened. Even though the non-humans had sent Sacred Lord Myriad Forms, he still had a tinge of hope, which came from Zhao Feng. All the captains, including Old Ying, Tai Hongling, and Emperor Ghost Scales instantly looked at Zhao Feng. Firstly, Zhao Feng was the strongest person present. If even he wasn't able to stop the Eye of Myriad Forms, then they had no hope. Furthermore, apart from the owner of the Eye of Myriad Forms, there was still Sacred Lord Enya and the 5th Serpent Son, who weren't to be underestimated either. There were also 2 non-human prodigies as well. This was going to be a hard battle, but the Ninth Prince had already requested for reinforcements. As long as they could protect the city, there was hope. Zhao Feng's faint golden left eye closely inspected Sacred Lord Myriad Forms, and he instantly understood when he saw the pair of rainbow-colored eyes. A descendant of the God Eyes. Zhao Feng, he's Sacred Lord Myriad Forms, the owner of the Eyes of Myriad Forms. Although he's only at the initial stages of the Mystic Light Realm, his battle power isn't weaker than those at the early stages of the Mystic Light Realm. Old Ying messaged Zhao Feng. Initial stages of the Mystic Light Realm? Zhao Feng shook his head. Sacred Lord Myriad Forms wasn't as simple as he seemed. However, there was one point he didn't expect, and that was the opponent to be a descendant of one of the 8 great God Eyes. Zhao Feng had only fought against the Eyes of Death before. He had also barely interacted with the Eyes of Destiny and Eyes of Samsara. The Eyes of Myriad Forms have complete control over the laws of nature. Some information regarding the Eyes of Myriad Forms surfaced in Zhao Feng's mind. On the non-human side, Sacred Lord Enya's eyes faintly moved as he looked at Zhao Feng. Sacred Lord Myriad Forms, that's the human with the secret treasure that can move through space. He has a unique eye bloodline as well. Sacred Lord Enya said with ill intentions. Oh? So that person is the one that came to the city you were guarding, killed a bunch of people, then left unharmed? Sacred Lord Myriad Form's eyes instantly locked onto Zhao Feng. The expressions of Sacred Lord Enya and the fifth serpent son became grim, but they didn't say anything because that was reality. Who? Zhao Feng and Sacred Lord Myriad Forms looked at one another, and Zhao Feng instantly felt a strong invisible pressure of heaven and earth crush over. It was as if the entire world was acting against him. Peng. Peng. Sacred Lord Myriad Form's eyes faintly jumped. This human's eye bloodline is extremely unusual. Sacred Lord Myriad Forms was surprised. This was the second time another eye bloodline could cause his eyes of Myriad Forms to jump. However, no matter how unusual it was, it didn't belong to the 8 great god eyes, so it was an incomplete eye bloodline. It couldn't be compared with his eyes of Myriad Forms. Human, how dare you take over Meng City? Sacred Lord Enya had an arrogant expression and a smile of mockery. This was originally the territory of the Zhou Imperials in the first place. The 9th prince's momentum was slightly weaker, but he still spoke. Humans will disappear from the face of the earth soon. Where will the Zhou Imperials come from then? The 5th serpent son mocked. Humph. Ignorant humans, I'll let you witness the terrifying pressure of nature. A faint disturbance of energy flashed through Sacred Lord Myriad Form's eyes. Who? Snow flew across the world, and countless surges of ice appeared on the surface of the ground. In just a couple breaths' time, several dozen thousand miles around Meng City had turned into a world of ice, and the temperature was still dropping. The sky became dark, and no one could see clearly. On the other hand, the non-humans seemed to be ready. Each soldier had some ice-defending secret treasure on them. Zhao Feng's eyes faintly moved. The change in environment hadn't affected him, but it was really effective against normal kings and below. The low to middle echelons of the 9th Prince's forces were at a very big disadvantage. Some small Origin Core realm experts found it hard to block the snow and ice at all. All the captains started to circulate their intent in order to deal with this world of snow and ice. Not good, our intent can't pass through the air. The heart of the 2-star captain shook. Normal emperors could change the temperature, but after the eyes of Myriad Form's owner changed the environment, their intent couldn't alter it. This meant that the laws and powers they controlled would be drastically weakened, and little worlds that weren't ice-oriented couldn't even appear in the real world. The myriad existences of heaven and earth belonged to the owner of the eyes of Myriad Forms. Sacred Lord Myriad Form's cold voice sounded as he flew over. Heaven and earth seemed to be his world. Sacred Lord Myriad Form's figure flashed through the world of snow and ice and approached Meng City. The non-human army instantly passed through the world of snow and ice and headed toward Meng City as well. Activate the defensive array. Defend. The 9th Prince roared. We can't let Sacred Lord Myriad Forms get close to the city. Zhao Feng leapt out. If Sacred Lord Myriad Forms got close to the city even for an instant, the defensive array around Meng City would be destroyed. At the same time, Old Ying, Tai Hongling, and the other captains charged out as well. I'll deal with Sacred Lord Myriad Forms. Zhao Feng's eyes flashed. No one else here was a match for Sacred Lord Myriad Forms, and Zhao Feng was also extremely interested in the descendant of one of the 8 great god eyes. Who tilde? Zhao Feng waved his left hand, and a beast horde appeared. This was the beast horde that Zhao Feng used in the Crown Prince trial. Since that period of time, their overall strength had increased, and many beasts were now emperors. Now that the 9th Prince's troops were affected by the world of ice and heavily weakened, they wouldn't even be able to last the time it took to make a cup of tea without his beast horde. A beast horde. The captains and soldiers felt a little bit better after seeing Zhao Feng release the beast horde. Oh yeah, and you too. The misty spatial world on Zhao Feng's arm flashed. Boom. Boom. 2 golden figures that were like giant metal mountains descended to the ground. The golden fur of these 2 sky-shaking golden apes stood on end like needles, and an ancient desolate aura spread. The captains and emperors from Meng City felt the bloodlines within their body tremble when this terrifying pressure descended. Those sky-shaking golden apes have reached the level of quasi-sacred lords. The 9th Prince's expression turned to joy. Zhao Feng had given the sky-shaking golden apes a bloodline of the 10,000 ancient races. Adding on the fact that they already contained the genes of the ancient race, their battle power would be extremely strong. These two sky-shaking golden apes could definitely stall the two quasi-sacred Lord female prodigies from the non-humans, or they could work with Tai Hongling and stall sacred Lord Enya. Humph, do you really think you can block the power of nature? Sacred Lord Myriad Forms roared as a surge of rainbow-colored mystic light sacred power shot out. The instant this rainbow-colored mystic light sacred power appeared, heaven and earth started to shake. Snow and ice flipped through heaven and earth like a tsunami and engulfed everything. All the experts from Meng City had to face limitless intent of snow and ice. Those with lower cultivation felt their blood and true yuan almost freeze. Even Void God Realm emperors felt infinitely small against this terrifying power of nature. This is the early stages of the mystic light realm. Many human captains exclaimed. Chapter 1030, Power of Myriad Forms. This is the early stages of the mystic light realm. Many human captains exclaimed. He's actually at the early stages of the mystic light realm? Old Ying exclaimed in shock. The captains acted like their hearts had been hammered, and their bodies started to tremble. Zhao Feng. Tai Hongling looked at Zhao Feng. Just now, Zhao Feng said that he would deal with Sacred Lord Myriad Forms, but could Zhao Feng really deal with a descendant of the 8 great god eyes who was also at the early stages of the mystic light realm? However, Tai Hongling realized that Zhao Feng wasn't surprised at all, as if he already knew Sacred Lord Myriad Form's true strength long ago. As I thought. Zhao Feng thought in his heart. The moment he saw Sacred Lord Myriad Forms, Zhao Feng could feel the latter's immense mystic light sacred power and soul intent. They had both exceeded the limits of the initial stages of the mystic light realm. Therefore, apart from Zhao Feng, no one else even had the possibility of fighting against Sacred Lord Myriad Forms. The Eyes of Myriad Forms was a power that affected the physical dimension. Zhao Feng only dared to fight against Sacred Lord Myriad Forms because his sacred lightning body had broken through to the 6th level, so he could fight back. Sacred Lord Enya, the 5th Serpent Son, and the other captains and emperors of the non-humans were all stunned as well. It was obvious that even they didn't know that Sacred Lord Myriad Forms had broken through to the early stages of the mystic light realm. Sacred Lord Myriad Forms, when did you break through? Sacred Lord Enya was filled with excitement. When Sacred Lord Myriad Forms was only at the initial stages of the mystic light realm, he was already unparalleled and able to fight against those at the early stages. Now that Sacred Lord Myriad Forms had broken through to the early stages, how strong would his battle power be? As expected of a descendant of the God Eyes, the female prodigy from the Eagleman race revealed a respectful look. Look, that human prodigy still dares to charge at Sacred Lord Myriad Forms. He really doesn't care about his life, does he? The female from the Serpentman race mocked as she looked at Zhao Feng in disdain. Wang wang wang. Zhao Feng instantly circulated his sacred lightning body the moment he flew out. Complex and ancient scarlet golden symbols of lightning sparkled around him, and his body grew taller as limitless lightning pushed aside the snow and ice nearby. You want to stop me? Sacred Lord Myriad Forms looked down at Zhao Feng. The invisible power of nature surrounded Zhao Feng, and ice appeared on Zhao Feng's body. Everything around him was starting to freeze. I want to defeat you. Battle intent burned in Zhao Feng's eyes. Crack. The ice around Zhao Feng shattered as a wave of physical force spread. Ha ha ha, ignorant human. Sacred Lord Myriad Forms roared with laughter. Infinite snow started to gather and form a wall of ice when Zhao Feng's lightning arrived before Sacred Lord Myriad Forms. Boom. Wang tilde. The instant the ice wall appeared, Zhao Feng's figure charged forward and unleashed his sacred lightning body in fire of wind lightning. Boom. Bam. The wall before Sacred Lord Myriad Forms shattered, but a wave of wind lightning appeared on Sacred Lord Myriad Forms' body like an armor that blocked all the remaining power from Zhao Feng's attack. You can't even injure me at all, but I can kill you right now. A layer of ice covered Sacred Lord Myriad Forms as he gazed at Zhao Feng. Spear of extreme ice. Whoosh. A rainbow-colored whirlpool appeared before Sacred Lord Myriad Forms, which instantly absorbed the snow's power and radiated a coldness that could freeze anything in its path. Whoosh. 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 Countless ice spears shot out from the whirlpool. The snow and air wherever the ice spears passed instantly froze, but the spears could pass through the ice without being affected at all. What a strong power of ice. At this instant, the true Yuan and bloodline within Zhao Feng's body started to circulate extremely slowly. Even his actions were affected. Water of Wind Lightning. Ice Imperial Spear. Zhao Feng suddenly circulated the hidden ice and water bloodline within his body as well as the water of wind lightning within his crystal core dimension. A layer of ice blue liquid covered Zhao Feng's body and formed a piece of armor. This armor of ice and water rippled and could change into different shapes. When used with the sacred lightning body, his resistance against the power of coldness instantly increased. This brat has an ice and water bloodline as well? Sacred Lord Myriad Form's eyebrows furrowed. When fighting against Zhao Feng, he realized that the latter specialized in the laws of wind, lightning, and fire. This meant that Zhao Feng was resilient against these three elements, which was why Sacred Lord Myriad Forms chose to use the power of ice. However, Zhao Feng had an ice and water bloodline as well as true Yuan with the intent of water? Sacred Lightning Dominating Punch. Zhao Feng circulated his sacred lightning body so that his resistance to the cold increased to its limit. He also used his sacred lightning body and punched out against the countless spears of ice. Peng. Boom. A surge of coldness exploded. This is? Zhao Feng quickly retreated. Although he had destroyed the spears of extreme ice, the power of coldness released from them still had terrifying pressure. The ice blue armor on Zhao Feng's body instantly froze, and a surge of coldness started to erode his sacred lightning body. From ice to water. Zhao Feng circulated the water of wind lightning as well as the ice and water bloodline. The frozen ice blue armor started to slowly absorb the coldness and turn into an armor made from water. Human quasi-sacred lord, you're not bad, you can actually take one move of mine. You can now die in peace. Sacred Lord Myriad Form's eyes revealed a fierce look. No human prodigy at the quasi-sacred lord rank could block this move of his. Zhao Feng's strength made Sacred Lord Myriad Forms want to kill him even more. You talk too much nonsense. Zhao Feng's eyes became dark as a strong surge of intent appeared from his left eye. A large amount of soul power surged from his lightning soul body into his left eye. Wind Lightning Eye Flame. Fire appeared in Zhao Feng's left eye. It glowed with a faint purple light as dark symbols of God Tribulation lightning flashed. Whoosh tilde boom. A transparent dark lightning fire with the destructive aura of God Tribulation lightning exploded above Sacred Lord Myriad Form's head. Zhao Feng's Wind Lightning Eye Flame this time was comprised of a full soul attack with the power of God Tribulation lightning. This was because he knew that physical attacks were unlikely to damage Sacred Lord Myriad Forms. Arg! Sacred Lord Myriad Forms screamed. He didn't expect Zhao Feng to use a soul-eye bloodline technique. Furthermore, the power of God Tribulation lightning within it damaged his soul to a certain degree. This brat. Sacred Lord Myriad Form's face became gruesome. He had been overconfident and injured by Zhao Feng. This was something that he could not stand. It's not very effective. Zhao Feng's heart dropped. Sacred Lord Myriad Forms was at the early stages of the mystic light realm. With his god eye and natural talent, his soul intent was obviously not weak. If it wasn't for the fact that Zhao Feng's soul attack contained the power of God Tribulation lightning, Sacred Lord Myriad Forms wouldn't have been injured at all. Not good. Zhao Feng sensed a dangerous aura. Whoosh. Wang tilde. Zhao Feng instantly flew into the distance using his lightning wings flying technique. Human bastard, where do you think you're going? Sacred Lord Myriad Forms roared as the power of nature started to move. So strong. He can control nature with just a thought. Zhao Feng's speed was reduced due to the power of nature, and he could only travel at 70% of his usual speed. Behind him, Sacred Lord Myriad Forms used the power of nature to help him charge toward Zhao Feng. After Sacred Lord Myriad Forms departed, the captains and soldiers below all felt the temperature rise a little bit, and they let out a breath. Even the non-humans that were prepared for it weren't able to block the cold. That human brat managed to harm Sacred Lord Myriad Forms. Sacred Lord Enya was shocked. Whoosh. Boom. A golden figure charged toward Sacred Lord Enya, and a terrifying, desolate bloodline made Sacred Lord Enya turn solemn and release a gray sacred power. Blood flames exploding slash. Whoosh. 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 Tai Hongling slashed out an arc of red toward Sacred Lord Enya. That brat's not dead yet? The female prodigy from the Eagleman race revealed a surprised expression. Sacred Lord Myriad Form's display of strength scared her. She didn't even dare to look at him, But a human prodigy who was only at the quasi-sacred lord rank could exchange blows with sacred lord myriad forms and even draw him away? Zhao Feng's drawn sacred lord myriad forms away. Old Ying understood what Zhao Feng wanted to do. It was a big disadvantage for the ninth prince if sacred lord myriad forms was fighting nearby, but was Zhao Feng really able to stop sacred lord myriad forms? Shu tilde. Zhao Feng passed through the power of ice with difficulty. The power of the eyes of myriad forms is far too strong. Zhao Feng exclaimed inside as he flew with as much speed as he could. Sacred Lord myriad forms could summon the power of nature with every movement and action. If Zhao Feng didn't direct him away, then the power of the cold would be able to kill all the human soldiers. Humph, all of heaven and earth is my power. You can't run away. Sacred Lord myriad forms snickered coldly as he thrust out his hand nonchalantly. Whoosh! A beam of rainbow-colored mystic light sacred power shot toward Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng relied on the ability of his god's spiritual eye and dodged the attack since he knew where it was going to land. However, the rainbow-colored mystic light sacred power that scraped past Zhao Feng instantly turned green, and a vine several yards wide grew from it. The vine then split into countless smaller vines, which wrapped around Zhao Feng. Is this the power of myriad forms? Zhao Feng's expression turned to surprise. Rumors said that the power of myriad forms could utilize any natural power in heaven and earth. Not good, it's sucking away my life force and yuan qi. Zhao Feng circulated his sacred lightning body, but he found that he was unable to escape from the laws of wood. These vines also sucked his life force and essence, gradually weakening his power. Wood of wind lightning. Zhao Feng summoned another power of wind lightning within the crystal core dimension. A faint green ripple of wood and lightning instantly appeared outside Zhao Feng's body and started to heal his injuries. Zhao Feng then put the wood of wind lightning into the vines. The element of lightning within the wood of wind lightning was perhaps able to stun these vines. Whoosh! Zhao Feng struggled out of the vines that had been weakened. The law of wood. Sacred Lord myriad forms eyebrows furrowed. He was the owner of the eyes of myriad forms, so he could control the power of nature, but this brat controlled so many elements. Was he trying to take over the control of nature somehow? Sacred Lord myriad forms' eyes squinted together, and the wood elemental power that Zhao Feng destroyed turned into a sea of flames that surrounded Zhao Feng. Whoosh! Sacred Lord myriad forms sent out another beam of myriad forms' sacred power, and the rainbow-colored mystic light sacred power turned dark yellow and formed a layer of dark yellow ash that spread across the air. Zhao Feng, who was surrounded by a sea of fire, instantly felt a pressure as strong as Mount Tai descend on him. There was another strong force apart from gravity. Zhao Feng felt as if he had been buried underground. Any movement he made required a lot of effort in order to struggle from the gravity and restrictions from the power of earth. From fire came earth. The surge of heat also increased the power of the dark yellow ashes and made the power of gravity even stronger.